Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, and Rovi, and today we're going to be talking about Deutsche Bank, next bank to fail.
Deutsche Bank, the wobble effect, I guess. It's not 100% failed yet, but yeah. I guess there's indications floating around. I mean, we had all intentions today of recording and posting something not related to like more
Financial
doom and gloom.
Collapse, yeah.
Yeah, but it just seems like every single day, like some new fiasco is unveiling. So kind of like during the FTX phase, this is just what it is. We're going to have to react and identify and come to a conclusion. How is this going to affect not just the crypto markets, but like the macroeconomic situation? This affects all of us, no matter what.
Yeah, this is threatening Bitcoin specifically because Bitcoin's the off-ramp for the planet. And
right. But my point is like this is bigger.
It is bigger.
We're a crypto, Bitcoin, whatever the hell, metaverse channel.
Yeah.
But in this type of situation, sometimes we got to like address the bigger elephant in the room, not just like, oh man, it's like our crypto bags might get hurt by these macro events. Like this is shit that could potentially like really hurt a lot of people individually. Yeah. Right. So it's a real reason why we have to talk about it and kind of, like I said, come to a conclusion. What does it all mean?
All right. So if you're into scary charts, well, here's a scary one for you. So we got a Deutsche Bank credit default swap chart here.
Yeah.
And we got several years. And then, of course, we got COVID, super spike. And then we have today, right? Yeah. Another spike. And so if you don't know what a credit default swap is, it's basically insurance. So we found a tweet thread that kind of broke this down pretty easily.
Yeah, it was pretty much just one single tweet. That's it.
Yeah. So a credit default swap is similar to an insurance policy. Let's say you lend a large sum of money to me. At the time you made the loan, I had a perfect credit rating. Sometime later, my credit rating drops and you start to worry that I won't be able to keep paying you back. So for a fee, which is the insurance premium, you can buy an insurance contract that reimburses you if I default on my debt during the time the contract is in force. So the contract is a credit default swap. The premium is a percentage of the total amount owed, and that percentage goes up as the borrower's credit worthiness declines.
Okay, cool. So that chart is indicating is an increase in demand for these swaps.
Yeah.
Right? So
basically, people are betting that the bank is going to default.
But I would say so. Yeah. Like similar to like during the 2008 financial collapse, people were, there's movies made about this. There were banks shorting, I guess, the housing economy.
Yeah.
Once they realized a lot of these vehicles, I guess, that the financial
mortgage-backed securities.
Yes, they were using those as ways to package, I guess, unsecure, not like low creditworthiness loans, housing loans into a vehicle to where all of a sudden there seems to be like more stability.
Yeah.
Right. And then like, there was a huge bubble as a result. And the people who did purchase these swaps, ahead of time made a huge killing and a huge profit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically this is an indication that something really bad is on the horizon for this bank.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So who is this bank, by the way?
So Deutsche Bank is one of the top 3 banks in Europe, or top 30 in the planet.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think it's Germany's biggest bank. So like we've definitely, like, this whole banking collapse fiasco has evolved past Silicon Valley Bank at this point. It did once it hit Credit Suisse, but Credit Suisse got bailed out.
Yeah.
But now we're hitting other European countries and stuff like that. So the thing that really is scaring me is, like, as a result of this, Janet Yellen, the United States Treasury Secretary, just announced basically a secret meeting to get all the financial regulators into one single room. And it's like, all right, we got to react to this, or something big is happening that they're not going to let us know about. Right. So, because this is closed off to the public.
Yeah. So just in, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen calls for top U.S. financial regulators for an unscheduled meeting today that is closed to the public.
So this is what we saw that made us. It's like we got to cancel our plans because we wanted to have a nice little ordinals discussion. Yeah. So you're gonna have to wait till next week about that.
Yeah.
To where basically this situation is escalating. Like there was a nice little pause for like a 4 or 5 day period
Yeah.
It's like maybe the Federal Reserve has this under control.
Yeah, plug the hole.
Exactly. Maybe the Titanic isn't sinking.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe we've it plugged enough to the holes. Maybe we could kick the can down the road for a few more years.
Yeah.
Until this like rears its ugly head again. But I don't think so. It's starting to look like Balaji, the guy who made that $1 million Bitcoin bet, might be more right than wrong.
He might be. He might be. So yeah, I'm speculating that Janet Yellen in this particular meeting is not necessarily just about Deutsche Bank, but the ramifications of banks failing and its impact on the United States.
Yes, I totally agree. I mean, that is their job after all. You know, it's only they, I guess, have a clearer picture as far as like the extent of how bad the banking situation is. So yeah, like they have to come amongst themselves and start to consider all angles of how to deal with this, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so so they have legal authority, but serves as a coordinating forum. So, yeah, they're going to start strategizing around this potential failure. And I was listening to the All In podcast, and they had a differing opinion on the credit increase, the credit interest rates increase. And Chamath was saying that they should have increased it significantly more, maybe up to 50 basis points, so that actual camels' backs start breaking. Right, actual failures start happening.
Basically, like no mercy, relentless. Like let's just get it over with.
But he said that the Fed would just kind of bail out the depositors of these banks. But failure needs to happen so that there's a lot more confidence back into the system after the failures occur. Because right now their argument is with this small increase, we're still kind of in limbo. Nobody has confidence in anything. There's more timid sentiment.
Yeah, I guess it almost seems like the Federal Reserve is just kind of trying to buy some time.
Yeah, I think that's exactly.
That's if you could definitely interpret it as such.
Yeah,
because they didn't make a strong
push in
move
any
direction. Correct.
Yeah.
So they're just trying to do something.
Yeah,
and then calm the fears, go on stage, be like everything's under control.
Yeah,
we're on the trajectory we've been on. We're tackling inflation. That's our biggest concern. That's pretty comfy narrative to get things business as usual remaining.
Yeah.
But you're right, dude. Or Chamath might be right. At some point, this has to happen.
Yeah,
and it probably should have happened in 2008.
Yeah,
or at some point.
But in 2008, it worked. We had 10 years of nothing but up.
I know, but we gotten ourselves into such a pickle as a result.
Yeah, that's true.
The 10 years of nothing but up has done a lot to service the U.S. economy, right? And I guess the global economy in relation. But nobody knows the magnitude of what the downside of that looks like. You know,
could be 10 years of nothing but down.
Could be that, and then again, what does that do to our individual lives? Just going to the store. A hyperinflationary environment. I mean, we have references to look at.
Venezuela.
Post World War I for Germany is a good example. Whenever their currency collapsed after World War I, I think the value of that currency was 1/100,000th or something like that of a dollar.
Really? Oh shit.
So there's a reason why Hitler came to power in Germany. It had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
Economic disparity does a lot to a society as far as how far you're willing to go as humans to kind of get out of that trench of existence.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to live in poverty that.
Of course.
So this is what we're all afraid of. And this is what the Federal Reserve and, Janet Yellen, their job is to avoid that at all costs.
By instilling confidence. We were just talking kind of offline at how crazy our financial system is built on gambling.
It feels a lot like gambling for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of gambling elements.
Yeah, I mean, why else would this chart go up? Because people are speculating, they're gambling on a default on Deutsche Bank.
It might not be a gamble, dude. It might be insiders who know something that the rest of us don't, and it's not a risk at all. It's literally just a hedge. It's very well coordinated.
That puts a good perspective because this spike here, which is significantly bigger, at least at the moment, than the current spike of credit defaults, is due to COVID, right? Yeah. There was a clear defining moment on the planet.
Exactly.
There isn't a clear defining moment right now.
At all. Nobody knows exactly why Deutsche Bank is in the wobble at the moment, other than contagion, right?
Yeah, they could just be over leveraged.
Yeah, like similar situation to all the other banks that have collapsed up until this point. But people assume like the bigger banks would probably be able to absolve all of this because they're much more capitalized than the smaller banks, right? They have more liquidity.
Yeah.
But in some cases, that might not be true. And if the interest rates continue to go up, like it's just going to make their situation worse and worse and worse, right? So
that makes sense.
I mean, it's crazy, man. Like, we don't know the extent of this. And again, the United States organizing which big U.S. banks are at risk too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So Deutsche Bank is on the equivalent side of like a JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, but in Europe.
Yeah, I would bucket them in that same realm. It's definitely not like a regional bank. We're starting to get beyond like the whole regional bank labeling of like this is just a regional dilemma.
Yeah.
This is entering into global like financial pandemic territory. So like that's scary. It does feel a little bit like COVID, right?
Yeah.
Like it started off locally in China.
That's true.
And then we were talking like, dude, once this ends up in Japan, when it ends up in France, and then once it ends up in the United States, that's when it's over. You know, like this is a worldwide global pandemic.
Yeah.
We're seeing it happen again with this whole financial thing. It's a real virus that's spreading, you know, so.
Yeah, I remember talking about COVID, you know, months before it actually ended up being a thing in the United States.
Yeah.
We were looking at China and their videos about they're spraying that smoke or whatever it was, that disinfectant, just throughout the streets.
Flamethrowers, dude.
Yeah.
Literally like a scene out of a movie. I've never even imagined scenes like that, like flamethrowing the air.
Yeah.
Locking people in their doors.
Yeah.
Like literally. Hammer and nail.
Yeah.
And metal barrier, whatever the fuck. That was insane. And we looked like crazy people, you know, warning our friends and family, like, dude, there's something serious happening here. Like, nah, man.
Yeah, it's not gonna hit us.
But guess what? It shut down the entire economy for a period of time. It changed our whole culture, like how we work.
Yeah, all of a sudden
how we interact.
All of a sudden it makes sense to work from home when it was like shunned.
Exactly. And it's not so weird to be like a gamer geek anymore. It's
Yeah.
like everybody's a gamer geek now as a result, you know?
Yeah.
So this is something we have to continue to pay attention to.
All right. This is a crypto kind of YouTuber. YouTube. So
us?
Yeah, us.
Yes.
So let's talk about how this might affect crypto. You said that you found a Balaji interview with Bankless, and he was talking about how Bitcoin might get shut off.
Well, he's making a prediction.
Okay. So it's a prediction. So
yeah,
Balaji's been making predictions
a lot of
lately.
Predictions, yeah.
So one is $1 million Bitcoin in 90 days. So he's got like 80 days
roughly
left.
He made that about 10 days ago.
Yeah. So 80 days left. And now he's predicting that the United States is going to shut off the on-ramps to Bitcoin.
Yeah, which makes sense. It's a sensible prediction to make after that as a follow up, because in the event like this banking collapse does become
systemic
contagion
spread.
Event.
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve and the Treasury has already said like their plan of action is to just cover all depositors no matter what.
Yeah.
Whether or not they'll be true to that word,
well, it's just
history
more printing.
will find out.
More printing,
yeah, I mean,
right? So they can do it. It's just it's going to cost us inflation.
Yeah, it's going to deteriorate the value of the dollar, right?
Yeah.
To its lowest state probably ever in its history. So as a result, people are speculating already, and I guess the market kind of is like showing indication of it that people will finally respect Bitcoin as a legitimate escape vehicle.
Mm-hmm. But how can you escape if there's no path to escape?
Well, that's the point. It's like if you're the dollar, or if you're the dollar, the United States, you don't want people running away and panicking
to an escape safe haven.
Yeah. So what do? You block off that vehicle. That's his prediction, right? So what does that mean? That basically means Coinbase, and Coinbase is already like under attack.
Yeah.
As we saw yesterday or the day before by the SEC. Nobody understands why the SEC is acting the way it is, because Coinbase is like all reliable, dude.
Yeah.
And they already gave them clearance before.
Yeah. So I'm sort of wondering, even if you have Bitcoin, how do you leverage the safe haven if you can't actually leverage it? Other than just holding Bitcoin.
I mean, like if they take off the off ramps and on ramps?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Bitcoin is getting support from everywhere else.
Yeah. So
you
just got to leave the country, basically.
So that is the threat. That is possibly like the worst case scenario outcome to all of this, and how it can affect the crypto space. You know, and I've always had this sentiment myself.
You have.
You know,
for a while.
yeah, it's like at some point the government's not gonna like the idea of Bitcoin, mudding around with like the value or the confidence in the dollar itself.
Yeah, and I guess the other side is there's people in the government who see value in Bitcoin, right? I think the government, the United States government, could strategize a way where they take advantage of the value of Bitcoin, right? And they start collecting it, right? They start supporting their own CBDC with Bitcoin.
Yeah,
I think there's a way. Now, are they thinking about it that way? I'm not so sure.
I think they could if given enough time.
Yeah,
to incorporate Bitcoin into its financial management
system. Reminds me when Silicon Valley Bank imploded, Coinbase completely shut down access to like your USDC.
It did.
Kind of like trying to make sure that people don't like flee USDC or whatever
too quickly. Yeah,
yeah.
They activated the circuit breaker basically.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's another coded in circuit breaker that a lot of people aren't aware of.
That's right. That's
to
right.
the USDC. It's basically they
can freeze your funds.
Yeah, on chain.
On chain, yeah.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah, which a whole CBDC. As you know, if you think about it, if you're a government, you want to do a CBDC because you can track where all the money is. It's basically like cash except trackable. And then, of course, they're going to be able to freeze it too, just like they're doing with the USDC.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. So this is one of those tough situations that even if you're in Bitcoin, I guess you're just going to have to leave the country, right? That's why we had an interview with Boson Protocol. He mentioned that the United States could really shoot themselves in the foot, and like it's going to enable other countries to become superpowers, leaders.
Yeah, it's the East. It's going to be the East's turn to reign.
Is now the beast.
There you go. You should market the world, dude. East is now the beast. So yeah, man, definitely. It feels very like.
So how do you? So okay, so let's speculate. It's like, what do you do? Let's say you're just a regular Joe. You got some money, right? You got a job, and you're seeing the shit hit the fan in slow motion.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, I didn't want to go that far with it yet. Just there's more like let's wait and see moments. I think right now, don't panic. Just know that this is happening, and like we said, we've entered into global pandemic fields. That's it. But what do you do?
So we've identified China with a virus, and it could spread.
It is spreading.
It's spreading.
Yeah, but so let's see what happens to Deutsche Bank first. If they do collapse over the weekend or the start of next weekend, then
even if they get bailed out, there's still a systemic issue.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah, that means that's not the last domino. More will come.
Yeah,
and especially because the Federal Reserve, they cannot just lower interest rates yet, right?
Yeah.
So they can't deal with this dilemma the way that I'm sure they would want to, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a unique situation,
Yeah.
So it's very complex. We're watching history unpack, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, this channel and this industry is becoming much, much more
relevant, important,
yes,
critical
as a result. Literally, like the whole Satoshi theory is coming to fruition.
That's
like
right.
he saw this, he or they, whatever, saw this coming again. They knew 2008 wouldn't be the last time. Like, the financial system would demonstrate its weaknesses.
Yeah.
So we needed a counter or like a plan B system in place.
Yeah. It's good
Dude,
plan.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Plan B, that's wild. I didn't even know that's why he called himself that, but it makes sense. Okay. But yeah, don't panic, lads. It's not over yet, but it's getting close.
Do Kwon said don't panic, right? SBF said don't panic. United States are saying don't panic.
It's true.
And we have a cacophony of failures as a result.
So should we be panicking, or what are you saying, dude?
I'm saying pay attention.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
That's it. And ordinals on Monday unless there's a complete collapse over the weekend or something like that. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll be right back into.
We're gonna have like guns on the wall and like
cans of food on the table.
Yeah.
We're just loading up, dude.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's it. Let us know if you have any questions on Deutsche Bank, credit default swaps, or anything like that. All the links are going to be in the description. Follow us on Twitter at @TheBlockRunner, @MeadowZone.io, and @RoviAI, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.